Hello, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on a fairly new hop. We had our first round of it last month in July. This is a hop hosted by Scrap and Harden. You can find all of her information in that description box below, as well as a playlist for all of 2025. Again, we started in July, so there's going to be about 6 months worth of videos by the end of the year. I don't know how many of us are participating, but if they're playing along, they'll be in that playlist. She called this hop Striptease, the scrapbooking way. And all we're doing is we're using branding strips in our layouts. And it's a wonderful way to use up all of those beautiful branding strips that you have saved. And I have pulled mostly Vicki Boutin Sweet Rush branding strips. There's at least one 49 a Market, a Paige Evans, and a Hip Kit. The rest are going to be Sweet Rush by Vicki Boutin. And so I have a whole bunch of her product sitting here on my desk to use, and some titles that came with her. I think it was her mixed media collection that she put out sometime last year. Everybody say hello to Miss Penny. Let me kiss her as I put her down again. So Christine gave us a prompt this month to cut apart our branding strips to create a shape. And here's my photo of my cute little cat. That's Jasper when he was fairly young. January, I think, of 2017, he was about 18 months old. So, as you can guess, I'm going to be using a heart shape. This is kind of a template that I created one time when I cut out a heart with my silhouette. I save these and then I take them with me to crops, retreats, etc. because I don't always take, or I never take my cameo with me, and I don't have dies large enough or a machine large enough to create a design that big. This is a piece of the Sweet Rush pattern paper. I'm going to use that to map my photo. And then I have another piece of pattern paper. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I'm going to pause. We're going to get started. I'm going to remove a kitten from my desk again. I'll be right back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this heart template, and I'm going to lightly trace around the heart so that I have a perfectly shaped heart in the middle of my layout. Next, I'm going to take this Vicki Boutin, I think this is from Sweet Rush. It's the X's and O's stencil, probably one of my most used stencils. And as you can see, Penny is very much interested in what I'm doing. There she goes on the floor again. I think we do this several times throughout this video. She just keeps hopping right back up there. And I'm going to just make a little bit of a gradient type color with the 4 inks that I have sitting here. I think this is Wilted Violet that I put down first. Then the next one is Blueprint Sketch. I tried to pick 4 inks that were very close to the colors in the collection, and I think I did a pretty decent job of that. There's Miss Penny again, down on the floor she goes again. This one is Twisted Citron. I couldn't remember the name of it in yesterday's video, and while it looks green on the ink pad, it almost looks yellow on camera. That's kind of funny. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the Squeezed Lemonade, which is a nice bright yellow. And we're going to move my stencil around so that I can continue to do this here. I'm going to try to line it up as well as I can. It's not perfect, but it does work. And I pull out the ink pads that I know, so the green and the yellow, the Twisted Citron and the Squeezed Lemonade. I'm going to go ahead and get those in there. Now, of course, when I'm finished with this template, it now has ink on it. And that's okay. I will still keep the template. I'll probably cut one of these out once or twice a year, and I usually save them. So if this one gets damaged, I'll cut another one out some other time. But I like to take these to crops. I'm going to be going to the We Create crop in September in Missouri, and this is just one of the things that I take with me because I don't bother bringing my Cameo. First of all, my computer that it's attached to is a desktop. It is not a laptop, so it's not portable. And second of all, it's just a lot of trouble. So I'm adding this blueprint sketch here, trying to get it up here onto the layout. I'm trying to fill in this whole heart with these X's and O's. I love the way that this looks when it's finished. And because of this, I don't have to use a whole lot of pattern paper on this layout. Also, I really don't have to use a whole lot of embellishments either. You can see little Miss Penny's head there. She ended up with a blue nose because she stuck her nose right into blueprint sketch. I tried to get a photo of it after the video was done, but I just didn't manage to get it. So now that I've got all of the inking done on the heart, I went ahead and inked up my chipboard title. And now I am cutting down the branding strips from Sweet Rush. There is one from Print Shop, and there's one from Hip Kit, and there's one from 49 and Market. And I'm cutting them down to 1.5 inch strips. Our prompt, of course, was to cut apart our branding strips to create a shape, and she didn't specify how we had to do that. My buddy Kristen also has a video for this, and she did something different, and we both succeeded in the prompt. So I'm going to cut the branding strip off this piece, and I'm going to end up cutting 2 1/2 inch strips of it, and I'm going to put that on either side of my heart. Like I said, I don't really need a whole lot of pattern paper on here once I get the branding strips and these 2 strips of paper down the sides. And also, I don't have to use a whole lot of embellishments because there's a lot of color on this layout as it stands. I did mat my photo in that scrap, and I mention it on tomorrow's video because I use the same scrap, well, not the same one, a piece of the same scrap to mat another photo on that layout, and I use it in a couple pieces on tomorrow's layout. I left out my Sweet Rush in order to see if I couldn't get a second video and layout done, and I did manage to do that. That one comes out tomorrow with Paw Your Way into Our Hearts. And I love my title and love how that turned out. Now this little clear envelope here, those envelopes came from Allie Edwards' story kits back in the day when she used to send them that way. And when I took apart my story kits in order to organize them by type, I kept all of those envelopes, and all of these butterflies and flowers that are in this envelope are fussy cut from papers in the Sweet Rush collection and or Color Study. I think that flower I just put down is from Color Study, not Sweet Rush. And the reason why it would be in this envelope with these is because when I created a counterfeit kit out of this a few years ago, I used both collections in it. I just combined all of both collections into one big counterfeit kit. It was a huge kit. And as you can see, I did not use it all up. I ended up putting it away. I don't have as much of Color Study as I do Sweet Rush. So now I am just kind of putting a few flowers on here. Like I said, it doesn't need a whole lot of embellishment, but I did want to get a couple butterflies on here and a couple of the flowers. I have that little phrase that says around here. This is Jasper curled up underneath the covers on my daughter's bed, and I'm kind of used the purple and aqua colors from her blanket, and it reminded me of Sweet Rush, which is why this collection got pulled. I do change around where I put those hearts stickers off camera a little bit. You'll see in the close-ups at the end of the video, I kind of move them around a little bit. I just didn't really care for the placement, and so I move them around just a tad, and I think it's more eye-pleasing once I move them around. I don't believe I mentioned that at the end, but I do that, and so we're done here. All right, I got this layout completely finished. Let me move my magnet. I was able to get a little bit of embellishment on here. I really didn't want to detract from the stenciling and the colors in my title or the colors that I added. I did stitch in some silver thread off camera. I really like how the silver thread looks on a layout. I will tell you, it is a serious pain in the neck to use. I don't know, you can see how it kind of comes apart, it untwists when you cut it. Makes it really hard to thread a needle. So I would suggest a needle threader like that to use for that. I did add some foam adhesive here and here with this little flower, and on the butterflies. The photo is on foam adhesive, so I didn't add any more with these flowers since the picture's on foam adhesive. Otherwise, you have seen everything that I've done here. If you have any comments or questions about any technique that I used on this layout, or any product that I used, or anything about this layout at all, just drop those questions down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. Please make sure that you check out that description box below for the link to the playlist for Strip Tease 2025. Again, we started in July, so at the end of the year, there'll be about 6 months worth of videos on there for you to watch how to use up your branding strips. And I'm really looking forward to September's prompt, because this was a really fun layout to make. I really enjoyed playing with these branding strips, using up a few of them that I've had in my stash for a while and getting them onto a page. I hope that you guys have a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Bye. I know things can't stay the same.